So if you've ever told yourself that I'm just going to check Instagram for a minute and then suddenly it's dark outside, this video is for you. Today we are tackling the problem that is social media addiction. And trust me, I'm not here to preach. I've been there, stuck in the endless scroll, liking memes I've already seen 1,000 times. But don't worry, I've got some practical, witty, and dare I say edgy tips to help you tame your social media habits and get your life back. Alright, first things first, we've got to face the cold, hard truth. Social media addiction is real. It's not just about being online a lot. It's that uncomfortable feeling when you're away from your phone for 5 minutes and start itching to check if someone liked your last post. Trust me, I'm trying really hard to make sure that I finish recording this video before checking my phone. I feel as if it's just calling my name. It's just pulling me. Actually, let me put it on flight mode. Or better yet, let me just throw it away. That's better. Now, admitting that you're addicted is step one. Once you accept it, you can start taking control instead of letting the algorithm control you. Trust me, those reels will still be there when you come back. Here's a fun fact for you, by the way. Globally, the average person spends around 2 hours and 26 minutes online every single day. Now, closer home, the average Kenyan spends around 3 hours and 32 minutes every day on social media. That's 1 hour more than the global average. We actually ranked third in Africa and number 6 worldwide according to statista.com. So social media addiction is real, and the sooner we face the hard truth, the better. So on to tip number 2, setting boundaries. Now I know what you're thinking. Setting boundaries sounds boring, right? But here's the thing, if you don't set boundaries with your social media time, it's going to eat you up faster than you can say subscribe to this channel. In case you missed it, that was my horrible attempt at humor. But seriously, if you haven't already, please subscribe or you'll make me cry. Anyway, back to boundaries. Start simple. Set specific times for when you can check your social media. Use it as a reward, not as a reflex. Okay, like I'm going to work for 30 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. And a 5-minute break doesn't mean an hour. It literally means 5 minutes. This is somewhat similar to the Pomodoro technique of time management, where you work for, let's say, 25 minutes or 30 minutes straight with no distractions. Then take a 5-minute break. Then you repeat this process 3 more times, after which you take a longer break of like an hour. Now, during these breaks, you can check your social media, you can go outside and stretch, you can basically do anything because it's a well-deserved break. Oh, and by the way, for more tips on how to effectively manage your time, please check out this previous episode that I did. Link should be somewhere on this video as well as in the description box below. Anyway, moving on to tip number 3 for the day, which is delete or hide those tempting apps. This one is tough love, but it works. If you can't stop yourself from opening Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter every 5 minutes, just delete them temporarily. Before you freak out, hear me out. You can always reinstall them later, but deleting the app even for a few days will make you realize how often you reach for it out of habit. And trust me, you'll survive without Instagram. And if deleting feels too extreme, hide the apps in a folder on your phone. Make it annoying to find them. Out of sight, out of mind. So one way to tame your bad habits, that is social media in this case, is to make it difficult to do those things. For example, if you want to avoid eating junk food, then don't have it in your fridge. If you want to avoid drinking, then avoid going out to clubs. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, says that resisting temptation is difficult and that it's a lot easier to avoid the temptation altogether. For example, if you're wasting too much time on Netflix, then don't renew your subscription for the coming month. The point here is to increase the friction associated with the habit that you're trying to avoid. This way, you reduce the likelihood that you're going to engage in the habit. Now, on to tip number 4, turn off notifications. As they say, silence is truly golden. You know that little red notification dot? That thing, tiny as it may be, is designed to make you crazy. Now, every ding, every buzz, every alert, it's a mini shot of dopamine. It's the same reason we can't ignore it when our phone lights up. But here's the hack. Turn off your notifications. Trust me, the world won't implode if you don't reply to a DM within 10 seconds. By turning off those notifications, you're not constantly pulled back into the vortex. You actually take back control over your time. And I think you can do this for practically all apps. Check your phone only when you intentionally decide to. Not every time that a notification pops up on your phone. That is actually kind of pathetic if you think about it. That every time you hear a ding, you pick up your phone and check it. So if you're getting notified every 5 seconds, it means you'll just be like this all the time. You can't concentrate on a serious task for even 5 minutes without getting distracted and pulled back into the vortex that is social media. Seriously, it's time to get a life. Anyway, on to tip number 5 of the day, which is set screen time limits, but actually stick to them. Now, I know you've probably set them before, only to hit the ignore for today button the second it pops up, right? Now this time though, we are serious. Set realistic limits for your apps, like 30 minutes for Instagram, 15 minutes for TikTok, and then when that limit pops up, don't ignore it. Better yet, hand your phone over to a friend or family member, and then they can even change your passcodes. There's a story that James Clear shares in his book Atomic Habits of how he managed to beat his social media addiction. He says that he'd ask his assistant to change all the passwords to his social media apps every Monday morning, effectively locking him out of social media for the entire week. She'd then give him the passwords on Friday evening, so he'd get to enjoy his Instagram, his Facebook, his YouTube all weekend long, and then the assistant would change the passwords again come Monday morning. Now, James Clear says that this helped him focus during the week, and it was during this time that he managed to finish working on his best-selling book, Atomic Habits. Now, I actually found that to be a very interesting idea to tame your social media addiction, so maybe you can try it out and let me know how it goes. Anyway, on to tip number 6 of the day: replace scrolling with a productive habit. Here's a little secret. If you replace your scrolling with something productive, you won't even miss it. Every time you feel the urge to scroll, pick a book, go for a quick walk, or even do a mini workout. Anything to snap you out of that social media trance. It's all about rewiring your brain. Replace mindless scrolling with something that actually adds value to your day. You'll feel way more accomplished, and your brain will thank you for that dopamine hit that isn't tied to likes and follows. Now, on to tip number 7, make your social media more intentional. Now, I'm not saying that you quit social media entirely. That's unrealistic. But what you can do is make it intentional. Instead of mindlessly scrolling, go in with a plan. Are you on social media to connect with friends, learn something, promote your side hustle? So when you go in with a purpose, you won't waste hours getting lost in the black hole of cat videos and food reels, unless that's your goal, in which case, carry on. Now on to tip number 8, follow accounts that uplift you and unfollow the noise. Now these ones are game changer. Do a major purge of your feed. Unfollow anyone or anything that makes you feel anxious, stressed, or just plain annoyed. Instead, follow accounts that inspire you, teach you something new, or just make you feel good. If your social media feed is filled with things that don't serve you, no wonder it feels like a mental drain. Clean it up, and you'll actually look forward to checking in without the endless doom scroll. On to tip number 9, use social media as a tool, not a time suck. Now here's the thing, social media isn't the villain, it's not the enemy, it's actually a tool. The problem is when we let the tool use us instead of the other way around. So set boundaries, use it with intention, and make sure that you're getting something out of it rather than just giving it all your time. So ask yourself every time you open an app, is this helping me or hurting me right now? If it's the latter, close it. If it's the former, go ahead, use that tool to your advantage. On to tip number 10, get a hobby besides scrolling, of course. Now remember, hobbies like real ones, not just scrolling through other people's lives. If you find yourself on your phone out of boredom, it's probably time to pick up a new hobby. Now find something that brings you joy outside of your phone, and you'll naturally spend less time glued to your screen. Plus, you'll feel more fulfilled because you're actually doing something instead of watching other people live their lives. So here's a bonus tip for you: take a social media detox. You won't die, I promise. And I know the thought of a social media detox is terrifying, but hear me out. Taking a break from social media even for a weekend is like hitting the reset button on your brain. It gives you time to reconnect with the real world. Now you'll realize that the world keeps spinning even when you're not scrolling, and when you come back, you'll have a better perspective on how much time you actually want to spend online. So there you have it, folks. Social media addiction doesn't have to ruin your life, but by setting boundaries, being intentional, and taking control of your habits, you can tame this beast and still enjoy the best parts of the online world. If you enjoyed the episode, and if you've stuck around for this long, please consider hitting that subscribe button and giving this video a thumbs up. That way YouTube can recommend it to more people who are also struggling with their social media addiction. Also, be sure to check out this other episode over here where I did a review of Atomic Habits, the best-selling book by James Clear. I'm sure you've noticed that I kept referencing it in the video. It's a transformational book, especially if you're struggling with bad habits, and James shares practical ways for you to break those bad habits and adopt healthier ones. Anyway, till next time, don't be good, be great. Peace.